to do that. It's that time we need to do that. It's that time we need to find the policies and get them activated. Number two, we talk about ethics. Uh, no business can grow or excel without a good ethical values. Good ethical values. Ethics has to do with the behaviors of individuals in the workplace, and of course we have business ethics, which also has to do with, or let me say, corporate ethics, which has to do with how our companies, our corporate bodies relate with other corporate bodies around, relate with the immediate environment, and of course relate with customers. Ethics. And of course we have finance and control. Finance and control is the core resource management and operational efficiency in any organization. It deals with how organization controls the directions, allocation, and usage of its finance resources. Okay, it deals with how finance is being controlled, how it's being directed, how it's being allocated and used. All right. Then, then we have employees. Employees in every organization, they make things happen, and of course they are the people that bring up, or let me say, uh, aids a business environment. Okay, they can either make or break that such business environment. So for any business to excel, for any business to really do well, these five things must be in place. Then number five is relationship, customer relationship, business relationship, then community relationship. Then we have an employee-employer relationship. If employee and employers are not really doing well in terms of relationship, that may not be excellent. The business may not excel. So to build a lasting business relationship, what do we need to do? Number one, every employee must be authentic. We must be authentic. We must be genuine in our dealings with ourselves and with people. Then number two, every employee must share the same goals and values. We must identify the shared goals and values. Of course, we must also develop mutual respect for ourselves. If workplace is not conducive for people to work, if friendliness is not there, if people don't relate well with themselves, then the business environment may not excel. May not excel. Is all right. So then, okay, then the fifth thing that can be done to build a lasting relationship in any business environment is to make meaningful connection for people to network with each other. Meaningful connection for people to network with each other. One of the things we do in IPMI, apart from training, is we aid and encourage networking. As a matter of fact, networking is one of our core practices. We don't just want people to come to class as we are now. We also encourage networking. That is why uh, Director Mike Adeyemi, I knew him sometimes back because we're able to connect. So networking is good to build a lasting relationship. So I want to encourage us, before we leave this class today, let's try as much as possible to network with ourselves. All right. Okay. So uh, the next, so what is the getting right management system? What does it mean? A getting it right management system. What does it mean? Number one is a framework, a broad-based set of HSC expectations in integrated into element of accountability All right. There's a framework, a broad-based set of HSE expectations integrated into element of accountability. Then is a management system of people and integrated processes. I want to repeat that again. It's a management system of people, 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 and integrated processes. People and integrated processes that meet expectations to deliver business performance. Now, let me go back to the last slide. When you look at the star here, the star in it, there is space to deliver performance. For performances to happen, good productive performance to happen in any workplace, these 5 things must be in place. Then employee, which happens to be the people here, must be integrated into the system, into the processes. All these are processes. Health and safety, yeah, they are processes. Relationship processes, finance control processes, ethics processes. But people, employees, so people must be integrated. So that is why we can have a right HSC management system. All right, a HSC management system. When that is done, business performances will be high. People will be encouraged to come to work. People will give in their best to such organization. People will be committed to such organization. So I want to look at the framework of GHSER, the framework of GHSAR. All right. So getting it right, HSE management system framework, it identify and manage operational risk. Identify and manage. It is one thing to identify an operational risk, it's another to manage it. And of course, it can't be managed unless first identified. It can't be managed unless first identified. So there are 13 elements in all. 13 elements in all. We're going to be looking at them after this slide. We have leadership and accountability. We have facilities design and construction. We have community and stakeholders awareness. We have risk management and risk assessment and management. Okay, someone said my screen is not moving. I have not moved the screen. If my screen is moving, please, if it's moving wherever you are, please can you type 11? If my screen is moving now, please can you see what is getting it right management system? I need a feedback. Please can you see? All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Biho. Mrs. Binta Bamali, thank you so much. All right. Okay. Okay. Let me move. Where was I? Where was I? All right. Okay. All right. Facilities. Okay. I talk about risk assessment and management, operations and maintenance, crisis and emergency management. Then we have people training behavior. We have customers and product, people training and behaviors, management of change, assessment, assurance and improvement, working with contractors and others, information and documentation, then incident analysis, prevention. All right. Now, these 13 are here. We are going to explain it very soon, but let's look at this. For every GHSER system to really work, then there must be a plan. Please don't let us forget that the reasons for GHRSE is to make sure the workplace is safe and there is a performances. So For this to happen, there must be plan. Organization must plan their health, safety, and environment system. Of course, there must be performance. Apart from planning, then there must be performing. It's one thing to plan, it's another thing to put into action what have been planned or what is planned. So there must be planning, there must be performing or performances, then there must be measure. The performances must be measured, must be must be looked into, then to see how it has worked and how and what to improve on. Then there must be improvement. After measures has been put in place, after measurement has been done, then there must be improvement. All right. So what does this framework provide? What does it provide? The 13 elements are depicted under the G getting HSC right framework, which act as the overarching structure. The individual's element and expectation collectively combine to form the GHSA framework. Is that right? Why is GHSER important? Why is it so important? When we had the first lecture, Dr. Baneto told us that we should all pay attention to safety rules that irrespective of our position in our workplace, occupation illness does not respect the managing director. It does not respect any other person. So what is this GHSER? Why is it so important? Number one, for business unit leaders. Okay, business unit leaders annually report to executive, assuring the business unit commitment to HSE performance, HSE expectation, and legal compliance. What does this mean? Every unit leader, every line leaders will need to report to executives on the commitment to health, safety, environment performances, the expectations, and of course legal compliances. Then why is it important? It identifies the major HSE risk to the business unit and the programs in place to minimize those risks. Why do we need to get it right? It identifies major health, safety, and environment risk. Major health, safety, and environment risk to the business unit and the programs in place. So every business have its environmental risk. So GHSER identifies such risk, and programs are put in place to minimize those risks to the business. All right. Of course, it communicates strength and weakness for complying with the element and expectation set forth in GHSER, as well as key performance indicators and audit findings. Okay. Then it outlines the HSC forecast and direction for following year. Now, we want to look at the elements. We said 13 elements, and then number one, we have leadership and accountability. I hope we are together. I hope I'm not too fast. Please, if I'm too fast, please, you can, I will, of course, love a feedback. Hope I'm not too fast. Okay. I don't know. Can someone just give me an assurance to go ahead? Can someone just give me an assurance to go ahead? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. It's all right. Thank you. Okay. Leadership and accountability. Now, I want us to follow closely. Positive HSE behaviors reinforced and rewarded. Now, behaviors. must be reinforced and rewarded. Must be reinforced and rewarded. I remember some years back, so long years, my dad, my late dad, he happens to be a driver with Lagos Mainland Local Government. Yes. And I remember there was a time he was awarded for being the best driver of the year. So positive HSE behaviors should be rewarded in order to help others learn, in order to help others look at how these things should be in place. And of course, it should also be reinforced. It should also be reinforced, okay? Then two-way communication between leaders and employees, contractors and others. Okay, so leadership has a lot of things to do when it comes to HSE in every organization. And of course, for that to be effective, there must be good communication between the leaders and employees, between contractors and the agents of our corporate world and the rest, okay? Integrated expectations into business planning with clear goals and objectives. Integrated expectations into business planning with clear goals and objectives. So, what is expected of every corporate body as concerning HSE must be integrated into the business planning. To the business planning. All right. Okay. Establish roles and responsibilities with performance measurement. Establish roles. That is the work of leaders in ensuring HSE management system. Establish roles and responsibilities with performance measurement. Documented HSE management system implemented and supported. Every HSE management system must be implemented, must be documented, must be implemented, and of course must be supported. And promotion of sharing of lessons learned. Lessons learned must also be shared, must be promoted, must be passed across from leadership to sub-leaders, or let me put it, to line leaders or group leaders or unit leaders, and then downward to the last person on the ladder. Is all right. Then we have risk assessment and management. Second element is risk assessment and management. Processes to identify and control hazards and manage risk. This has to do with processes to identify and control hazard. Hazard must be identified. Hazard must be identified and it must be controlled so as to manage risk. All right. Hazard and risk assessed for existing and future operations and development. I visited someone yesterday. It happens to a tailor. I just visited a tailor yesterday to do a few things. And looking at the wall, I saw this changeover naked. You know, changeover from generator to light, this units changeover. And it was naked, and the wires were rough, not just using wires to touch each other. And where those things are is not far from where hand can reach. And I called the young man, why this? It's risky. It's not, it shouldn't be. And he said, it does not really matter. I said, wow, it does not really matter. I told him, you must find something to do. Okay. The fourth point. All right. Mr. Ibrahim, I'll get back to you. I'm coming. Okay. So you must do something about it. It's not good. So risk must, excuse me, risk must be identified, must be controlled. Is all right. The fourth, talk about documented, established roles and responsibility with performance measurement. Is that what you are referring to, Mr. Ibrahim? Hello, Mr. Ibrahim. Can you? Okay. All right. The fourth point. If Mr. Ibrahim can hear me, uh, are you saying this element one? Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Establish roles and responsibilities with performance measurement. Leadership in every corporate organization must establish the roles and responsibilities of each worker as pertaining HSE. If roles and responsibilities are not identified, if job descriptions are not given, then it in a way will not promote HSC management system. For example, if a driver can go and open gate at any time, if a gate man can also drive a car or drive at any time, the responsibilities and roles of these two people have not been established. So roles and responsibility must be established. And when these roles are established, then it will help in preventing health safety. It will help in preventing occupational illness. If a driver just try to drive, I mean, a gate man has access to drive a car, then if such gate man has a crash or accident with a car, then he shouldn't be so punished because he was not really employed as a driver. But because their roles and responsibilities were not really distinguished, were not given outlined. So, but the moment the roles and responsibilities are outlined, then the driver can be responsible for whatever happens. While the gate man, of course, the security man can be responsible for whatever happens during entry or exit at the gate. Have I made any sense to you, Mr. Ibrahim? Hello, Mr. Ibrahim. Have I made any sense to you at all? All right. Okay. Mr. Ibrahim, have I made any sense to you? Okay, yes. Thank you so much. It's all right. Thanks so much. Okay. Okay, so where was I? Hazard and risk assess for closures. Okay. All right. You're welcome, sir. All right. Okay. Hazards and risk assessed for closures, divestment, and decommissioning. Risk addressed by management with decisions documented. Every risk address must be documented by the management. That's what we're saying. Risk assessment and management. Okay, risk assessment referred in project approval documentation and are kept updated. Risk assessment referred in project approval documentation and are kept updated. In other words, every risk assessed and documented must be kept must be updated. What was relevant 10 years ago might not be so relevant this year. As knowledge increases, and of course, discoveries increases, then our archive of risk assessment must be kept updated. Is all right. Then number three, the third element talk about people training and behavior. People training and behavior. HSE sound behavior by employees and contractors. In other words, the health, safety, and environment sound behavior by employees and contractors. Okay. What does that imply? What does that mean? It means people are the one that will promote good HSE system. People, people, people will promote good HSE system. So for any corporate world to have a sound HSC behavior, it must come from people, employees. And of course, we've talked about leadership. It must come from employee. Safety is everyone's business and contractors. HSE roles and responsibility with individual performance targets. HSE roles and with individual performance target. Of course, uh, everyone must know the risk and hazard that is attached to his role and performances. Okay, qualified, competent, and physically, mentally fit personnel. Okay, people that must be in charge of HSE system must be qualified, they must be competent, and of course, they must be physically and mentally fit. Okay, a skilled and a trained workforce. When people are trained, workforce are trained every time on health, safety, environment. It helps in health, safety and environment management system. Health hazard identified and risk managed. Health hazard identified and people manage. All these are things that people do. Okay, wellness, alcohol and drug programs. Wellness programs must be put in place as training for employees. Then the ability to shun drinking and driving and usage of drugs should be part of the training too. Should be part of the training too. All right. One of the problems we have in Nigerian roads are the trailer, or let me put it this way, tanker drivers. With apology to the association, but you will discover that most of these people, before they go behind the wheel, they must have taken something. I mean, how can you just figure it out when someone is driving and several times I've been harassed on the road by trailers and whatever, and of course, one just have to give way for them to go. So, but you will discover that some of them at times they drink and they are on drugs. So, all these programs, wellness training should be in place to help people. Okay, orientation and induction training for new and transfer employees and contractors. Orientations and induction training for new or transferred employees or contractors. Right. Then we have working with contractors and others. Evaluation, selection, and retention criteria for contractors, suppliers, and others. There must be evaluation and selection and retention criteria for contractors. Some contractors, uh, of course, all of them will need to be evaluated. Then there must be selection and retention criteria for such people. Hazards and risk of contractor and procurement activities and interface identified and managed. Hazards and risk of contractor and procurement activities and interfaces identified and managed. Okay. Performance and deliverables defined and monitored. Performance and deliverables defined and monitored with assurance of HSC and technical compliance. For every deliverables, uh, there must be a monitoring of such. Deliverables are things that are supplied goods that are supplied by contractors and suppliers. Such deliverable must be monitored with assurance of HSC and technical compliance. HSC and technical compliance. Okay. Purchase product and services verified as compliant with national and international HSC standard. Every product purchase, every services rendered must be verified in accordance with the national and international standard. All right. Joint ventures and alliances partners with HSC system. meet compliance and align with BP, British Petroleum, and satisfy expectations and target. It's all right. Then another element is facility design and construction. Facility designs, baseline technical environmental data collected. Baseline technical environmental data collected. Technology that balances commercial risk and financial benefit to manage impact. Okay. Operational maintenance and HSE expertise integrated in design stage. Hazards and HSE risk assess at specific project stages. Deviations from standard managed and documented. Local regulatory requirements met. We can read through and, of course, study through in our manuals. Somebody typed in the chat room during the other lecture that how can you get the manuals? Of course, when you pay for the manuals, the money will be delivered to you. Okay. Then quality assurance and inspection system assure. Facilities meet during and procurement specifications. Documented pre-startup review. All right. Then we have operations and maintenance. Operations and maintenance. Our operations must be in alliance with the standard, and maintenance of such operations are key to having a good HSE system. Operations and maintenance, they are key to having a good HSE system. Then we have a management of change. Changes must come. It must also be managed. Changes must come. It must also be managed. All right. Organizational changes assessed and managed. There will be changes. Changes in operational machines, changing in management personnel, changing in so many ways. Changes will come, and such changes must be well managed. All right. Then we have information and documentation. Every information must be documented for good HSE system to work, or let me say to be in place. There must be system for maintaining drawings, design data, and other documentation with defined responsibilities. Okay. Regulation of codes, standard, and practices. All this must also be in place. At this point, I just want to take a 30 seconds break. I'll be back. Please, let's give me just 30 seconds. So thank you so much. All right, we're welcome back. We're welcome back. Are we still together? Please, if you can hear me, I want a feedback. Just one or two. If you can hear me, just a feedback. All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you so much. Okay. We are on information and documentation. It's a system for maintaining drawings, design data, and other documentations with defined responsibilities. It's a system for maintaining drawings, design data, and other documentation with divine responsibilities. Is a regulations, code, standard, and practices identified, documented, and communicated. Every information must be documented and must be communicated appropriately, must be documented. Every information must be documented and, of course, must be passed across. Right. Records maintained, available, and retained as necessary. Records must be maintained, must be available, and retained. Technical documentation part of design input for new facilities and modifications. Employees' health, medical, and exposures record are maintained, are also retained. Employees' health, medical, and exposure record are maintained and retained. Okay. Then we have customers and products. HSE assessment conducted for new product prior to marketing or distribution. In other words, before any new product should be introduced into the market, there must be an assessment. Is the HSE assessment of such product must be assessed. Of course, HSE assessment of such product must be conducted and carried out before such product can go into the marketplace. Okay. Um, a few weeks ago, I happens to just there's this Isaiah somebody produced, and of course I got it from her just to encourage her, and I was just trying to take care of a place within my premises, and I used my bare hands to sprinkle the Isaiah. And you know what? I began to feel some sensation in my fingers and a kind of burning. And I have to call her and say, this thing is too harsh. This is how I felt. And she was like, oh, yes, you are right. I just wanted to make it so conk. And I said, no, it could be very dangerous. So for any product to be introduced into the marketplace, the health, safety, and environment of such products and the impact on the environment must be assessed, conducted before such is done. Okay. Periodic reassessment for manufactured and rebranded products and intermediate streams. Periodic reassessment for manufactured and rebranded products and intermediate stream. Okay. New uses or market for existing product evaluated. Okay, new usage and of course market for existing product must also be evaluated. Okay, records maintained and retained as appropriate. Material safety data sheet MSDS issues and updated. We talked about musculoskeletal. That one is MSDS also, but the S of that is a small letter S, the last S. MSDS, small letter S. But here we have MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheet, issues and updated. We have a system to collect and review report of adverse effect of such product on customers. The effective recall system for defective product. Effective recall system for defective product. Some product could be defective right from the factory. There should be an effective recall system for such a system. I've not verified this and I shouldn't say this, but I think I read something some years back that a car manufacturing company recalled their product because there was a brake issues. I think that should be maybe one of these German car. All right, so it was recalled back. I think baby Benz or so will recall back for. So every company must have effective recall system for defective product. All right. Then system for 24 hours emergency response for product, HSE product. The attendance is passed in the chat room, please. Let's take that. All right. Then we have community and stakeholders awareness. Community and stakeholders awareness. Uh, no, open and proactive communications with employees, contractors, regulators, and public. Open and proactive communications with employees, contractors, regulators, and public. So there must be community and stakeholder awareness for any company or corporate body to have a good HSE system. There must be community awareness and stakeholder awareness. The company where such companies are located or where companies are situated, there must be a good rapport, there must be awareness there must be good relationship between the company and the community. And of course, there must be some information that will be passed from the community to the company and vice versa. I remember there is a part of Lagos State that still engage in Oro. I don't know. Oro is like a ritual exercise that is carried out on female in this part of the world, in a particular part of Lagos State, Ikorodu precisely. Yeah, they still engage in Oro, and of course, and we have yes, thank you, Mr. Michael. And we have PZ in Ikorodu, and we have other companies there. So there must be a kind of awareness program between a company and community. What do I mean? During this Oro festival, as they always do every year, women are not allowed to pass through the metropolis of Ikorodu. So if PZ will be operating, and irrespective of the day of, I mean, when such rituals will come up, we are not promoting ritual, but I'm just trying to cite an example. Irrespective whether Monday or Tuesday or whatever, and of course, PZ have female workers. So there must have been a way that a system on ground that allows passage of females to PZ without passing through metropolis of Ikorodu or within the Ikorodu town, so as for such workers to attend to their daily work. So what am I trying to say? There must be community and stakeholders awareness. There must be a correlation. There must be an agreement on how things are run. Of course, any company or corporate body that is not in good stand with the community where the company is situated may have problem sooner than expected. It's all right. So we have open and proactive communications with employees, contractors, regulators, and public. Okay. Response to government and community HSE expectations. Companies shouldn't use their byproduct, their waste, to also defect or degrade the community where they are situated. HSE impacts of new business development assessed, communicated and integrated into business case. HSE impact of any divestment or decommissioning reviewed, communicated and managed. Okay. Periodically issue external verified statement related to HSE performance programs for major operation. Then we have crisis and emergency management. When things happen, how do we manage it? When crisis issues come up, Dr. Benito referred to, I think, an explosion somewhere. And I remember one of the Sundays, was it last year or this year? There was an explosion in Abuliado, uh, the part of Lagos State here in Nigeria. There was an explosion that shook ground to as far as Badagry. I don't know if anyone can really relate between Abule Ado and Badagry. The explosion, the gas plant explosion, really shook the ground. Shook the ground. So the truth of the matter is, in Nigeria, our emergency management and control, we are not there yet. Okay, we are not there. So in our companies, how do we manage crisis and emergency? How do we manage them? Risk-based emergency management plans that are documented, accessible, communicated, and aligned with the group emergency management system. There must be risk-based emergency management plans that are not just uh, not just a matter of head thinking, but it must be documented, it must be accessible, it must be communicated to all, and it must align with the group emergency management system. Okay. Equipment, facilities, and personnel identified. There must be equipment, there must be facilities and personnel. These things must be identified, they must have been tested, and they must be available. They must be identified, they must have been tested, and they must be available. Okay. All right. So trained personnel who understand emergency plans and their roles and responsibilities. So there must be trained personnel who understand what emergency really is, and their roles, responsibilities must also be well spelled out. Drills and exercises conducted to assess and improve, including liaising with all involvement of external organization. Every external organization must also be liaised, must also be co-opted into the emergency and management control body. Sorry. Periodic update of plans and training to incorporate lessons and lessons learned. All right, we have incident analysis and prevention. All HSC incident and near misses openly reported, investigated, analyzed, and documented. They must be documented. So all health, safety, and environment incidents and near misses must be openly reported, must be investigated, must be analyzed, and of course documented. Serious incidents are investigated immediately with participation and leadership from outside. Serious incidents and investigations are immediately investigated with participation and leadership from an outside. Uh, from outside, all right. Root causes and preventive actions documented and closed out. I can't remember whether last year or 2 years ago, there was a bomb blast, a church collapsed. Okay. Uh, there is, please let's, there is a attendance is passed now. Attendance is passed now. Let's try to fill attendance before we go. All right. And if you, wow. Okay, sorry for that. And if you also want to pay for our manuals, the paystack link is passed there. You can get our manuals, can get the manuals. Okay. All right. So root cause analysis and preventive actions must be documented. Okay. Then we have assessments, assurance, and improvement. HSC performance indicators must be established, must be communicated and understood. Okay. So for international students, you can pay online via the link given to us, Paystack, while the national trainees should pay through our UBA account. So the line, every information you need is on the chat room. It's all right. So performance data, okay, talking about performance indicator for HSE must be established, communicated, and understood. Okay, workforce involved in periodic assessment. Every workforce must be involved in periodic self-assessment. Okay, there must be review of performance indicators determine management system and changes needed. System for improving HSE behaviors through observation. Documented risk-based audit program with documented objective and systematic audit. Findings prioritized, tracked, and used for improvement. Review of management system by BUL, business unit leadership. Then performance data and assurance provided to CEO. Okay. Health and safety programs. Now, I want to look at GHSR and we want to look at the three components that form GHSER. We want to look at three components that are involved in GHSER, right? Okay. Health and safety programs. I'm coming, trying to see. Okay, please, the attendance again. Okay. Mr. Benjamin, don't worry, at the time we pass across to you soon. Right. Health and safety programs. We have health and safety programs. Health and safety programs are integral parts of getting HSE right. Health and safety programs are integral part of getting HSE right. All right. So if health and programs are removed, of course, there won't be HSE. And the reason why HSE right, getting it right, is being taught or being studied is so that health and safety can be achieved. Health and safety of environment, health and safety of workplaces, health and safety of workers, health and safety of nature can be achieved. Is that right? So let's look at environmental management system. It's also an integral part of getting HSA right. EMS addresses E. The E there is the environment. And of course, environment is part of getting HSE right. All right. Now, before I go to that, if you look at this graphic, the picture on the slides, the environment, the safety, the environment, the health and safety, they are interrelated. They enter into each other. As a matter of fact, there's no way we can have GHSER without any of this. Okay, so environment, health, safety, they are interwovenly related. They cannot be separated. So environment we can't have, for us to be safe and to have safety, environment must be considered. And our health must be considered. And of course, for our environment to be safe, our health must be considered. The health of the environment must be considered. Then the safety of the environment must be considered. Then the safety of health must also be considered. So GHSER is there as getting health, safety, and environment right. Then we have HSE, we talked about, which means health, safety, environmental. Then we have EMS. EMS is environmental management system. All these are according to ISO standard. According to ISO standard. Okay. So what are the examples of health, safety? What are the examples of health, safety, environment? Okay. Okay. Attendance, please. Okay. Give me 2 minutes. Let me quickly do that. Thank you. All right. Okay. What are the examples of health and safety management system? Number one, safe work procedures. Safe work procedures. The procedures, the operational procedure of every work must be safe for the workers. Must be safe for the workers. Number two, emergency response plans. There must be good emergency response. All these are examples of health and safety management system. For any company, any corporate world to have good HSE system on ground, the work procedure must be safe. Then there must be ERP, emergency response plans on ground. Then contractor safety processes must also be on ground. Then there must be training programs for the newly intakes and the newly transferred and the promoted. Okay, there must be incident investigation and accident tracking system. Then, of course, there must be advanced safety auditing, ASA, advanced safety auditing. Then we have what we call STOP, safety training observation program. Safety training observation program. Then we have CLC, comprehensive list of root causes. List of causes. That's root cause analysis. So all these must be in place for any corporate world to have a health and safety management system on ground. Then what does it do? It provides information on aspects, BP's activities, product or services that can interact with the environment. Element of BP petroleum activities, products, services that can interact with environment. It has impact. So, of course, any change to the environment resulting from activities, number one, you look at aspect. What are the elements of or activities of a company that can interact with the environment? Okay. Then these are the informations that we have on emergency management system. Then number two, what impact does change to the environment resulting from activities or product? What is the impact? Does it have any change to the environment resulting from activities, product, or services? Okay. Then let's take a case study on British EMS, the British Petroleum EMS. Okay. We want to look at the aspect. I want to look at the aspect. Element of BP's activities, product, or services that can interact with the environment. Now, if you look at this arrow, the arrow, it points to this. British Petroleum activities, their EMS, they have the activities, they drill, they drill crude oil and they do exploration. Now, there's an emission to here during these procedures. There'll be an emissions to here. Then such emissions, how does it have impact on the local community? How does it affect birds and animals? How does it contaminate land? How does it affect on the land and the animals? Okay, then the impact now, it brings change to environment resulting from BPA mucous activities, product or services. So some things are released into the water, some pollutions are released into the water, and of course it will have effect on the fishes and aquatic habitat. Okay, this is an example of EMS. Now, this is a table example of EMS. Number one, we have the activities. What is the activities? Drilling operation. Yes, design operation. Then we have the aspect, discharge of water-based mud. Then cutting and associated fluid. Sorry. Then what is the impact? Quality degradation of receiving water. Then we have operating and production platform as an activities. Then we have aspect of overboard disposal of produced water. Then quality degradation of receiving water. Receiving water is the sea or the body of water where the waste water is passed out to. Then we have drilling operations, disposal of solid waste, then landfills disposal. So the first one has to do with aquatic disposals, then the other one has to do with landfill disposal. Then the impact on this, on the water system, on the body of water, is that it contaminates and pollutes. And of course, it will lead to death of fishes and rest of aquatic habitat. Then talking about landfills, when the disposal is done on land, it also have a way of affecting terrestrial habitat, people on land and plants. Okay, we have Piper Alpha. Piper Alpha was designed, built under supervision and operated by Occidental Petroleum (OP). Okay, the revenue and the rest. Okay, we can go through that when we have our manual. Okay. Then, what are the regulatory regime? The safety cases. The safety case must be shown. The safety case must show that the management system adequately cover all statutory requirements. There are proper arrangements for independent audit of the system. The risk of major accidents have been identified. Okay, these are the inquiry findings from this, from Piper Alpha. Okay, all right. The safety case should describe the approach to preventing accident, mitigating the effect of any which do occur, and providing for emergency response, including evacuation, escape, and rescue where necessary. So, all right. Any community that such pollutions are dumped, or such waste products are dumped, this safety case, it describes the approach to preventing accidents, okay, mitigating the effect of which do occur, and providing for emergency response, including evacuation, escape, and rescue where necessary. Will getting HSE right have prevented the Piper incident? Okay, there is a question for us here, but before I go further, now we need to see this. When you go through the Piper, okay, let me run through it so that we can answer the question. Okay, Piper Alpha, designed, built under supervision and operated by Occidental Petroleum, revenue approximately 3.5 million per day at peak of 10%. Okay, please let's find time to do that, to read through. Uh, let's find time to read through. So, on Alpha, it's all right. Okay, so we should remember no accident, no harm to people, no damage to environment. This is what getting it right is all about. No accidents, no harm to people, no damage to the environment. Can we really, have we gotten to this where there won't be accident, where there won't be harm to people, where there won't be damage to the environment? We can get there. So everyone is responsible for getting HSA right. If HSE is gotten right, there won't be accident of any kind on our roads, of any kind in our workplaces. There won't be harm to people, and of course, there won't be damage to our environment. So good HSE performance is critical to the success of our business. Okay, we want to quickly look at this before we call it a day. Oh, somebody's requesting for attendance, please. Is that right? Will be attended to soon. Okay. So how do we improve? By demonstrating setting standard. How do we improve our HSC getting it right? Number one, by demonstrating to a certain high standard for those who report to us, by reducing waste emission and discharge, by setting goals, targets, and measures to improve performance, preparing for an emergency and ensuring plans are known, learning and implementing lessons from incident and accident. For every incident and accident, there are lessons to be learned. Using contractors and their expertise to full advantage. Then we have using the skills and knowledge of the people we employ, establishing procedures, practices, and standards. Okay, establishing change method and processes to ensure integrity is achieved. Operating, maintaining facilities and equipment properly. Then designing and constructing new facilities from an HSC perspective, conducting safety check before or during work. All right. The role of the management leadership, accountable for HSCR, yeah, demonstrate and lead by example, explain to team by getting HSCR is important, then assisting individuals to develop roles and responsibilities, ensure consistency within the business unit, share best practice and lessons learned, and of course, establish HSC um, performance agenda. Now, what is your role? What is now your role in getting HSCR? What is your role in GHSR? Number one, your role and responsibility in support of GHSR. You keep the workplace in a safe and environmentally fit condition. Our workplace must be kept in a safe and environmentally fit condition. We must carry out health, safety, and environmental checks before, during, and after work activity. We must follow established standards, practices, and procedure. We must use our skills and knowledge to help others. Then it helps us to improve BP's and industries' peer standard. Tell us where we can make HSC. It tells us where we can make HSC improvement. What is in it for you? If all the things are done, then what are you to gain? What is our gain? It will reduce your risk of illness and injury. When GHSER is observed, is gotten right, it reduces our risk of illness and injury. It preserves the environment for the future. It improves working conditions, high and consistent standard. It improves working conditions. Then it will bring high and consistent standard. It enhances business unit performance. Of course, business, there will be performances. It protects the group reputation. Of course, we talk about reputation when Dr. Banito taught us last week. So it protects group reputation. It improves our liability profile. It continues leadership position, industry, and world. Continuing leadership position in every industry and of course the world at large. Then being part of a winning organization. Okay, so we have come to the end of the lecture. I don't know if anybody have questions for me. Okay, I don't know. Does anybody have any question? The attendance has been passed in the chat room. I will await our question. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That was an awesome class section. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, sir. Yeah.
And thanks to everyone that has stayed up to this moment for this class. We've looked at getting HSC right. So let's know if there are questions, let's attend to them. We'll be closing this class at maximum 12 noon on the dot. If there are questions, we'll take the questions. If there are no questions, then we'll be closing the class to meet again by, sorry, let me find the time. Our next class will be by 2 p.m. So if there are questions, we can take the question now. If you want us to take the question when we resume from break, then we can go on break and resume afterwards and ask questions after we've resumed. But please, before we start exiting the class, can we say a very big thank you to Dr. David for this wonderful time and all we've learned. Please, can we say a big thank you to Dr. David? Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Please, is there anybody here who has not signed attendance? If you've not signed your attendance, please kindly type 1-1 in the chat room. You've not signed attendance, please kindly type 1-1 in the chat room. You've not signed attendance, please kindly type 1-1 in the chat room so that we can get to you. Is there anyone like that? Okay, so it's looking like everyone has signed attendance. Okay, those that have not signed attendance, what's the challenge? Is it that you have any challenge or you're just joining the class? Abubakar Sani and Yahaya Ahmad, please, what could be the challenge? Is it network or is it you're having technical issues or what have you? Binta Bamali, I just posted the attendance link again. So let's just get the attendance. Okay, so if you're having issue with the attendance, kindly copy the attendance link and then go and send it to your WhatsApp. Please don't send it to the group. We are not posting attendance in the group. Okay, so kindly send it to any other WhatsApp number of your choice. Then when you are free, you can sign your attendance. All right. If you're having any issue with signing attendance, kindly copy the link, send it to any WhatsApp contact of your choice. Then after the class, when you have good network, you can go ahead and sign that. Okay. Could there be